Idea came to me real quick earlier today because I have some meetings planned soon. Okay. Babe, don't type. I'm getting room noise. So today I wanted to make a quick video talking about meetings. More specifically, the anxiety that may come with one coming up. So if you're anything like me, then you might have to face some anxiety with upcoming appointments, meetings, or jobs coming up. Not all the time, but at least for the stuff you feel like is a big opportunity, definitely. Something new, something scary. Well, good news. Usually when stuff feels that way, it's because you're leaving your comfort zone, and that's always a good sign. It might not feel like it. So today I wanted to just share some tips on how I deal with these feelings of anxiety and overcome them, so that I don't deny myself opportunities to grow in career and as a person. Let's treat this like a tarot reading, you know? I'm just kind of giving tips that are based on my experience and my journey, but you can take what resonates and leave what doesn't. You can book me at fiverr.com/. Let's start with tip one. So tip one is to view it objectively. Typically when we have something coming up and we're anxious about it, we let overthinking get the best of us, especially in my case. I'm very prone to it because of my ADHD. There's always ways to deal with it and to cope. And this is why I think rationalizing things and just looking at them objectively, like straight fact, it helps because it just cuts the fat out of your thought process on it, which is just that excess overthinking that really just lets your imagination run wild in the bad way, and you just kind of make things seem way worse than they actually are. So let's think of an example. Let's say you really want to break into the videography business and you're going into it as a freelancer, or you know, you have your own sole prop and you finally scored a meeting with a client. You really don't want to mess this up because this is your first opportunity and you can use this for your portfolio and get paid and not an exposure. So you do not want to mess this up. In your head, you're probably excited as hell, but you're also nervous. Even though you've wanted this for a while and you've probably been practicing and making videos the whole while before this even happens, you just want to get paid for what you love doing. Somehow you overthink the worst. Maybe you thought things like, what if they don't hire me? What if they don't like the video I make? What if they don't like my ideas? What if the list goes on. So in that situation, you kind of just got to stop, put the brakes on it, and remember, go as bare bones as you can, because that really just kind of grounds your thinking. Like, okay, so me and the client, we're gonna meet and I'm gonna hear them out, hear what they want, and then of course I'll apply my best judgment to it and give my thoughts and ideas, and hopefully things click and we can move forward from there, and I will get paid and I'll make a badass video while doing it. Think of it objectively and also kind of give yourself this positive reinforcement. That's kind of like a sub tip as part of that. So in summary, think of the facts. You know, objectively, it's a meeting between you and a client. Worst case scenario, you find another client because you're not going to do work together. And that leads me into tip two, which is talk yourself up. Sometimes you're going to have to be your own hype man. That's a lot of times, actually. In my case, yeah, at least internally, I'm definitely my biggest hype man. Just have a healthy amount of confidence. Because if you project confidence, not only can the people around you feel it, but it'll make a big difference in your head. It's kind of like a fake it till you make it thing, where you'd exude this confidence and it kind of bounces back, even though it's not coming from you don't believe it just yet, which is really ironic, right? Because people would say it's something you got to believe inside of you first, but I think an argument could be made that it does not need to be something you truly believe yet, because in a way, I feel like if you exude it, it kind of bounces back from people because you give off confidence. The people around you feel that and they treat you as if you were confident, and in return, it's kind of like that confidence comes back to you, and then that makes you feel better because it's actually like it's happening. So in a way, it actually is happening. Am I making sense? I hope. Don't forget what you got going on for yourself, but also if you need to be brought down a bit, don't forget where you're weak. So an example, I was in the car for a meeting with one of my current clients. Well, no, let me rephrase. I wasn't in the car for a meeting. Okay, so an example, this one time I showed up early to a meeting that I was supposed to have with one of my now current clients, but at the time being, I was just sitting in the parking lot while I was waiting for our meeting time. I was just wondering why they would meet with me or pick me over other people when I've seen that they've had work done before for video and it was not so bad. In a way, I was kind of giving myself imposter syndrome, but I would just kind of slowly push those thoughts away and replace them with, I can totally do this. I can make dope shit for them to kind of reinforce what you're saying. So in the time, I was kind of looking at old work I've done or like previous work to kind of just pat myself on the back. And this is a whole nother topic, but like, you know, don't be too married to the work you do or put out. But at the same time, you know, you got to be proud of what you've done and where you've come from and like how far you've gone. And the more I watched, the more I talked to myself about the positives I would bring to the table. And the more I kind of felt that was true. And by the time the meeting came, I nailed it. I'm still working with this client today, and I'm actually doing a video for them this week. Don't stop yourself from growing. Tip 3, remember why you're doing it. Whether it's because you have a fire under your ass financially and you need the money because you're gonna get evicted or they're gonna cancel your phone bill, or I wish they cancel my phone bill, phone service, your internet, your power, whatever it may be, or you're doing it for your kids, your significant other, a pet maybe, because I do a lot of work for my pet's sake. It sounds really corny, but honestly, this shit works. I mean, I thought journaling was corny, but dude, that shit changed my life. And it pulled me, not really pulled me out, but it definitely helped me get out of these bouts of depression. It's really good. That's another video, but just remember why you're doing it. And my last tip, think of how someone else would handle it. Preferably someone you look up to, maybe in the same field or just in general. So an example for me would be, I think of my dad. Am I a first generation immigrant? No. Yeah, I'm a first generation of immigrant parents. I think that's the way to say it. Yeah, so basically my mom and dad were immigrants and English was not their strong suit. If you're born to immigrants as well, you know like how growing up is, and they're doing their best to provide for you, and there's a lot of strict rules to be frugal, but at the same time they're still trying to give you like a childhood, you know? But yeah, point being is I was thinking about that one day and like how a lot of barriers to overcome, especially language barrier, and yet we're here today, and he provided more than enough for me and my 2 brothers and my mom, and got himself in a pretty high position in his company, starting from just being a regular like mechanic. I think that's the term. But now he's like in an upper position where he attends these meetings with the president of the company along with the other higher members of these, like, I don't know. He basically just goes to the big meetings, and before that too, like on his way up, he'd still do it. And what I found inspiring was that despite all these barriers, he'd go in there and get shit done. Even though this is the same man who would ask me in elementary to proofread his emails and make sure that these texts were correct before sending them out. He goes to these meetings like a boss. He tells them what he needs, how to do it, how it needs to get done. They listen, they give it to him. He does an excellent job, and we prosper as a family. I think there's a lot to learn from that, and I try to get strength from it, or I try to help it ground me when I'm spiraling into some anxiety. And that's all for my tips on dealing with anxiety, specifically before a meeting. If any of that helped you, I hope it did. Leave a comment maybe on situations where you might have used a tip, or how you deal with it, or maybe even just say hello. I don't know. I could use some engagement. But either way, no one watches, I don't care. This is just part of the journey, and more to come from here. Thanks for watching. So tip number 1, I'd say I thought you got your shit on blast. Why are you looking at me?